Hey, gun people. Well, getting a lot of requests on what's going on with Virginia. And I mean, look, I guess I'm kind of used to liberals saying we're going to take the guns, we're going to get the guns, we're going to pass this law, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. California's been doing that for years, and every election they come out and say we're going to get more, we're going to get more, and they go inch by inch, and they get one gun or two guns, and they're going to ban ARs. They're going to ban, they finally did get a ban. Basically, you're allowed to have it, but it's got to have a special bullet button, and it can't freaking fire more than one round every 20 minutes or whatever the case is now. But Virginia just went full libertard left-wing gun control, and the governor, and hey, I got no problem with what the governor's saying. The people elected him, and when you elect people and they come out with this, then you need to fix your election. You need to either get him out, re-elect someone else, or don't elect people like him. So if Virginia sat around and didn't show up and let their state get taken over, just like California, just like New York, just like Texas is doing now, hey, they deserve what they get. I mean, there's some counties that are doing pretty good. There's a lot of sheriffs that are coming out and saying, hey, we're going to be sanctuary Second Amendment cities, which is good. And, you know, right here in this county, it said before a crowd of 200, the Board of Supervisors unanimously passed 2 resolutions during the meeting. The Second Amendment sanctuary resolution promoting and a resolution promoting the order of militia within the county passed to loud cheers and overflowed 189-seat boardroom. Okay, so everybody cheered and they passed the resolutions. Now, does the county have more power than the state? You know, tomato, tomato. A county has as much power as it's willing to fight for and take. The sheriff is a constitutionally elected official, but I've seen governors of states remove sheriff. They did it to the guy who made these prisoners wear pink. What's his name? I can't think of his name right now. But, so governors can remove sheriffs. I don't think they should be able to. I think local government ought to be supreme as far as no higher government come along and say your local government is no good. The federal government wants to do that with the states, and states' rights are supposed to be supreme. But the federal government comes in all the time with money and the states fold. And that's what you get for electing people that do that. We have to start electing what the left calls right-wing, gun nut, conspiracious, constitutional, patriot, crazy people. That's who we have to elect, because those are the only people that are going to stand up against the federal government. Now, in Virginia, they passed this thing, and now they can, according to their Virginia Constitution, they can get a militia. Where was it? Right down here. Subsection makes it responsible for counties to maintain a militia. So evidently in the Virginia Constitution, per their Constitution, the counties are supposed to have a militia. And now the left would have you think the militia is the National Guard, and that is it. You don't need people running around. And that's just not true. The founders knew that if you give government too much power, they're going to abuse it, and they will trample on the citizens' rights, and they will steal freedom, and they will totally put us back into every other country where the government just takes from the people, which is pretty much where we're at anyway. I mean, it's not as bad as a lot of countries, but we're not that far away, people. I mean, the people that are running around saying, oh, you know, the debt's 50 million or 50 trillion or whatever the number is, make it up. It really doesn't matter. It's really an infinite number that nobody really cares about. So when is the debt going to matter? When the country collapses, when the dollar collapses? I mean, this Virginia thing is one of those things that it can go several ways. Everybody's like, Virginia's going to be the next revolution. I don't know if it is or it isn't. I think everybody ought to be prepared for it. It could start anywhere, and you just never know. I mean, a Waco, a Ruby Ridge, you name it, it can spark, and people need to be ready to call to arms. So there's platforms like Bitchute, which I don't particularly care for their platform, but They don't censor, period. No ifs, ands, and buts. You can post it. I think Bitchute is one of the last places where they've allowed them to keep that video up on the guy shooting up New Zealand shooting. So Bitchute will allow you to plan, coordinate, and discuss and meet. And to me, militias, 3%ers, patriots ought to be planning what's going to happen if it happens. And, everybody's got fake names. I think they pretty much know who we are. I mean, they can't come get all of us. They're going to come get the outspoken ones maybe first. But you know what? If everybody's outspoken, they can't put us all away. So they've either got to come out and kill us or figure out another way to deal with it. So, militias, hey, I don't think we're ever going to be able in this country to have a militia that actually has a command and control. And I talk about this in the Revelation series that I do, the Revolution series. We're just not able to plan and coordinate. Remember, the first thing the government's going to do if anybody goes up against them is they're going to cut communications. And they own the communications. They own the internet. They own the airwaves. They own the sky with military airplane support. So they're going to cut that away immediately. They already do that when there's talks of protests. They cut off social media. They censor it. They cut BART police in California. If there's a riot or there's something going down on BART police, they will shut off the phones for a mile circumference. I think it's totally illegal and against the law, but they do it and they get away with it, and the courts haven't stopped them. So, look, people ought to be planning. They ought to have, I think the next revolution will be fought with 2 or 3 man teams, targets of opportunity. Shutting down all government, making government afraid to go out in public, making government afraid to go out without a huge standing army. And then even when they do have a standing army, wherever they go, there's sniping, there's harassment fire, there's vehicle damage, that's what I think's going to happen. Am I right? I don't know. I mean, look, the citizens don't have the equipment or the power that the government does. So it all depends on how far the government wants to use it. Do I think the government's going to use nukes on us? Probably not. Do I think they would use grenades and tanks? Absolutely 100%. When government starts losing, all rules go out the door. So if you think that the government is going to play by the rules right up to where they lose, you don't have a freaking clue about warfare. I'm telling you, the government will not lose unless they know they cannot win. Period. So, what are the guys doing in Virginia? I don't know. What do the politicians do? The politicians are doing a bunch of talk right now. People are like, why hasn't Trump gone on there and told them? They haven't called the National Guard yet. They haven't started seizing guns yet. They haven't done the things that they're talking about doing. Should we be prepared? Absolutely. But you know what? Look, there needs to be networks and people, patriot-loving people, gun owners, need to be networking more. Instead, I've got people worried about, because I got a freaking Alexa in my house, that they're spying on me and I'm crazy. You know what? Ain't nobody got to guess where the hell I stand. I'm pretty outspoken. I got thousands of videos on YouTube. Ain't no way the government has to guess, hey, we wonder where Rick stands on this. Very simple. So, the people that are so scared to talk and so scared to communicate, they're going to be the ineffective ones. They'll be sitting on the sidelines, and then government will be coming to take their guns, and they won't have any plan, and they'll be too afraid to talk or won't have the ability to talk because government's going to cut off communications. We've got the communication now. It's only getting worse. Just because we have a plan in case the government goes tyrannical, more tyrannical, I should say, doesn't mean we're trying to overthrow the government, doesn't mean we're conspiring against the government, doesn't mean all the things that the government would like to scare people into not talking or not discussing anything that would protect them or make them not a sheep. So, what do I think about Virginia? I think the politicians, the left wing, are doing what they always do. They get in and they talk a bunch of smack. And when it comes down to it, 99 times out of 100, they don't do half of what they say. It's all talk. It's all political jumbo to get votes, to stir up their base, to make panic, whatever. So, what if somebody wants to tell me in the comments what exactly Virginia has done that I don't know about? Feel free to tell me. But so far, all I've heard is a bunch of threats, talk, what we're going to do. Here's what's going to happen. We're coming. We're going to pass this law. We're gonna, whatever. Do it. And for me, I say bring it on. I'm tired. I've been living my whole life trying to hide the fact that I like guns or that I have a gun or that I'm scared the government might target me. And I don't, whatever. Bring it on. Let the liberals push us to the limit and see what happens. Is all these gun people just talk, or are they going to act? I guess we'll find out if the government pushes us. But you know what? If they do push, we ought to have a plan. We ought to have some coordination. We ought to have some rules of engagement, targets of opportunity, federal, state, whoever is going after the guns. I would think there needs to be some planning on how to deal with them. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. That's my take on Virginia, people.